Alright, hey guys, today the topic of interest is how to attract somebody that you do like. So in this video, I'll be sharing practical ways with you to attract people that you like and how you can stay calm when you come into contact with people that you are attracted to. So let's get started. So the first point I want to make is this that there's no such thing as leagues and there's no such thing as punching above your own weight. We often hear these terms being used. We hear people say like, oh, that person will never like me because, they're so out of my league. Or you often hear people say like, oh, that guy's doing well, isn't he? He's really punching above his own weight. But you have to understand that these are all just limiting beliefs. These are all just social constructs and labels people throw at you to stop you from going after the thing that you want. Because in reality, it's just a level playing field. And you find that your looks are not that important. So you often hear people say like, oh, it's because I'm ugly. No, it's not because you're ugly. Your looks are not important. Oftentimes you'll find the people that date the best looking people, and I use that term very loosely because it's quite subjective, but the people that date the best looking people aren't always the most visually pleasing on the eye. The reason being is because your looks are not important. However, what you will find though is the people that do date the best looking people have one common trait. And the common trait is this, is that they're unattached to an end outcome. So when I say they're unattached to an end outcome, what do I mean by this? I'm saying that when they go into an interaction with somebody that they like, they don't feel like they need the interaction to go a certain way. They don't feel like they need something from that person. They go with the attitude of, I just want to have fun. And this is the mistake that a lot of us make. We put a lot of unnecessary pressure on ourselves because we're trying to force an end outcome. So for example, you come into contact with somebody that you do like, or you see them and you're like, oh, in your head, you're like, oh, this person's so attractive, they're so beautiful, I need to make them laugh because if I make them laugh, I'll get their number and then we'll end up in a relationship. So you're going out there with that in mind. So from that interaction that you get into, you feel like you need something from them. So you no longer start behaving as yourself. You start behaving in a way to get that end outcome that you have in your mind. So you won't tell that joke that you find funny. You will tell the joke that you think that person will find funny. Alright, can you see the difference? So you'd be like, oh, why did the chicken cross the road? Oh, and they'd be like, oh, why? You'd be like, to get to the other side. Ha 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 ha. And then you're staring at them hoping that they react to you. And then if they react to you, it validates you and you feel good. You're like, oh yes, yeah, I got it. But if they don't, you start falling into your head and you start trying to figure out other ways to try get the end outcome. You're like, oh no, I've messed up. What have I got to do? Right? And then the interaction gets awkward because you're all up in your head. You're trying to get something from that person. You're trying to get the validation from that person. But the people who do well, right, they come with a completely different paradigm of thinking. So from them, it's about them having a good time. So it's about them enjoying themselves. So they ask themselves different mental questions in that interaction. So they're like, oh, what can I do to have fun? What can I do to have a good time? What can I do to make myself laugh? And then they do those things. So it's no longer about how that person responds to them. It's about them having a good time themselves. It's about them conjuring those good, positive, fun emotions within themselves. And from that place, people will react to you. Because you have to understand that people are not logical. People are emotional. People respond to emotion and they're always making neural associations to emotion. So if you're producing good, positive, happy emotions, people will mirror that. It's the same thing. It's kind of like when somebody's happy and they're full of joy and they're smiling and they're like, yeah, I'm so happy. People around them experience that emotion too and they get happy too. They mirror it back to you. It's the same thing like when somebody's negative at work and they're angry and moody, everybody starts feeling those bad vibes and then everybody gets in a mood because your emotion is contagious. So if you're conveying those good, fun, positive emotions within yourself and you're having a good time, people will mirror that back to you. You get a lot more of that and then people will start associating those good, positive emotions that they're feeling within themselves to you because you're the reason that they're feeling those emotions because they're just mirroring it back at you. And if they associate those good, positive emotions to you, they're going to want to spend more time with you, right? And then at the end of the day, you probably will get the end outcome that you want, right? So it's no longer about you gaming them. It's about you gaming yourself. It's a completely different paradigm and it's a completely different experience altogether. And the pressure weighs off you because you no longer have to do something to get the result that you want. So that's the first point I want to make. And point number two is this. The reason that you get nervous when you come into contact with people that you find attractive is the perception that you have of yourself and the perception you have of that person in comparison to yourself. So you have to understand that we're always playing roles. So oftentimes you display different parts of yourself with different groups because you're always playing a role. It's always down to your perception of yourself in comparison to the group. So for example, like if you come into contact with somebody that you're not really that attracted to them, you don't really care, but you feel like in your head like, oh, I could get him if I wanted him. You're able to stay calm, you're more funny, you're witty, you're humorous, and you're like, you're like, whatever, I don't really care. And because you're coming from that place of that perception of like, I can get this person if I wanted them, the outcomes are normally always good. That person always seems to like you. That's why the people that you're not really attracted to tend to like you, right? Because you're like, you're like, whatever, you don't care, right? But when you come across people that you do like, right, the perception that you have changes. So the perception you have of that person is more like this. It's more like, oh, this person's so amazing. They're so beautiful and talented. I'll be so honored if they were to spend time with me, kind of thing. So you kind of put them on a pedestal. And when you put them on the pedestal and you feel like, oh, you're underneath them, or you believe that you are not worthy of them or worthy of the time, or you'd be lucky to get that person, you behave in that way, right? And then they pick up on that in a subconscious way, and they believe it to be true, and they're like, they're probably right, I probably am too good for him, and then you end up getting rejected because you're coming from that place. And oftentimes in every interaction, it's the person who has the strongest frame that wins the interaction. So if you believe that you're worthy and you believe that you're good enough, more often than not, the interaction is going to go better. So it's about you changing the perception you have of yourself, or changing the perception you have of that person. That's going to affect the behavior that you have, or affect the behavior that you convey. So one thing I recommend you guys to do is this: is to learn to start becoming aware of the roles that you're playing. So become aware when you change your behavior. Become aware when you're more quiet than you normally are, or become aware when you're louder than you are, because you're playing a role, right? And when you become aware of this, right, you're able to dissolve that. That's the thing. But a lot of times we're often not aware of it. We're not consciously aware of it, but subconsciously it's all going down. So you need to learn that. So when you come across somebody that you really like, and you get nervous and stuff like that, become aware, and then bring present awareness to the body. So when I say bring present awareness to the body, I'm talking about focusing on your breathing, or focusing on the physical sensations on one part of your body, because what that's going to do is going to get you out of your head. And by getting out of your head, it reduces the chances of you making a mistake or saying something stupid. I'm telling you. So when you get out of your head, you're able to stay more calm, reserved, and then you go. Right? And remember that the people that you like are human. They're human just like you. They have their own insecurities. They have their own fears. I'm saying they have their own problems, right? They're human just like you, right? They burp when they drink their food. They're like you. So if you remember that, and start becoming aware of when you're playing roles, it'll change for you. And I've also done videos on changing your beliefs about yourself, changing your self-perception. So I recommend that you guys watch those. I'm not going to go into that now because that's a completely different topic. But I hope this video has made sense. Guys, if you like it, give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe, please, because it goes a long way. So, guys, I appreciate you. Goodbye.